YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and if I sound a little funny, it's because I'm a little under the weather, but the show must go on, and this is the last division for these videos, the last of these types of videos, so, I got to do it. Got to rip it out. People are going to be expecting it, so we have the NFC West left to do. Basically, I went through each division, broke down the team's cap situation. I checked out which players we could cut for those teams, what players could be cut, which players could be traded, what they can get for them, and then take a look at the cap situation after that. So what it could look like going into free agency. So we predicted some guys that already got cut. So it's been a productive couple weeks here making these videos. So subscriber goals 20K. Please help us get there if you haven't clicked that button yet. Lots of NFL coverage on here. Free agency, NFL draft currently. A lot of that going on. Click the like button on any video. That'd be much appreciated. But let's get into the video. We are using the website SpaTrack. I don't even know how to say it. Honestly, I think I change how I say it every time. But the link will be in the description. Very useful site. Gives us the exact numbers in different scenarios. So the Arizona Cardinals, we'll start with them out of the NFC West. Pretty good cap number, 38, over 38 million. Maybe you would expect it a little more because, they have the first overall pick. They're a rebuilding team. But at the same time, they do have some guys that you could consider superstars like Chandler Jones and Patrick Peterson, Larry Fitzgerald, maybe not at the superstar level right now, but was. David Johnson can be. So a lot of those guys. So I guess this is a team that you really could turn around quickly, even though it's somewhat of a rebuild process. A lot of question marks going in the draft. Do they go Nick Bosa? Do they go Josh Allen, Quinn Williams, Kyler Murray even? So and then what do they do with Rosen then? So a lot of questions we have for them. And it's going to be a while, I think, until we get our answers here. It's very interesting. But who could they cut here? Right off the bat, I think it's time to get rid of Gresham. He could still play, but you can clear a little bit here. $2.4 million, that's just my opinion. The offensive line needs to step it up, but I don't know if you could cut any of these guys. They could be useful to you. You have the first pick. You're not going to take an offensive lineman with the first pick unless you trade back in the first round. Maybe you can get one then. So you may need some of these veteran guys. They just signed Robert Alford. Thought that was a good pickup. Antoine Bethea, still playing pretty solid at age 35, but could be time to move on from that because you may be more of a rebuild team. Clears $3.2 million cap, so we're raising it up a little bit here, and that could, that could be the difference. You could go for some big names. Maybe they're a wild card to trade for like Antonio Brown. Maybe they want to go for the big-name pass rushers. They're supposed to be switching to a 3-4 defense. Maybe they want to go get guys that could fit that. Yeah, like I said, maybe they want one of those big-name pass rushers so they don't feel like they have to take Bosa or Allen with the first overall pick. They can go Quinn Williams or Kyler Murray then if they get a big-name, outside linebacker, their new defense. Jadeveon Clowney, D. Ford. I think Frank Clark can play either. Zadarius Smith. Maybe they want to go for one of those guys. I think Corey Peters, I think they can move on from him too. They're rebuilding this defense with the change here. The interior D-line play has been pretty bad, so I think you can move on from Corey Peters. Doesn't save too much though, but you save something. Mike Glennon, there's no reason to keep him around. Save the $1 million. Get a better guy to, help Rosen out, or maybe you keep bringing it up, and maybe they get Murray. Maybe that's not smoke. Really no reason to smoke the first pick. But they could be by saying that Rosen is their guy. You never know. Hassan Reddick needs to step up. I thought he would be an edge rusher today in the NFL. They move him to the inside. Don't really agree with that. So maybe they can trade him to a better fit. But at the same time, they're switching to a 3-4. Maybe he fits that a little bit. I think he should be a pass rusher. I think he should be an outside guy. But that's just my opinion. So maybe they could trade him. I think they give him a try on this new defense. We'll see, though. Definitely a name to keep an eye on. Robert Kimdichie, another interesting one, kind of known as a bust right now, but you still think he's got the potential and he could turn it around. I think another guy, I think he can fit this defense better. I think he's more of a 3-4 end, and that's what he'll play if he's still on the team. I think he could be a 3 technique and a 4-3 too. Let's just say they trade him. There's been some rumors they can trade or cut him. Off the top of my head, there's plenty of teams, but off the top of my head, I'm a Vikings fan, and I know that Zimmer, for a fact, that would like Kimdichie, and they would play him at the 3 technique, could replace Sheldon Richardson if they don't get him back. Again, plenty of teams he can go to. I think he can go to a 4-3, 3-4. What will he go for? Later round pick, and that could be a steal for a team like this. A cheaper option than what re-signing your own guy. But let's just say that happens. Don't save too much, 1.6 mil, but we'll see. I think they can give him a shot in this new defense. Any other guys here? Bynes they can let go. You save 1.5 about. Yeah, I think since they picked up DJ Swearinger and they have Budda Baker, I think they roll with those guys at safety. Patrick Peterson, Robert Alford, the future at corner. They got Brandon Williams too. He's pretty solid. So I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll cut some of these guys here. They have David Emerson as well at corner. Quite a few guys they can cut or trade. And then Hassan Reddick could be a trade piece. I think they will keep him. But we could see they could really do some damage here. They can really raise up that cap to 51. Maybe they want to go for some big names on defense or offensive line, and then go to the draft for their. I mean, you want to go in the draft not feeling like you have to do something. So maybe they want to do that in free agency so they don't have to take the pass rusher. They can go Quinn Williams. They can go Kyler Murray. So very interesting team to keep an eye on. Arizona Cardinals. Moving on. More NFC West teams. And next we'll do the Rams. Very impressive cap situation, I should add, for the Rams, because you would think they would have less cap room here. They got 32.4. Very impressive. Know how to deal with the contracts. And I'll tell you right now, I already know off the top of my head, I don't know if they're going to cut any of these big names. I don't think they are. You're looking down the list, there's no reason to do it. You gave out some good contracts. Nobody's really letting you down. Everyone's playing pretty solid. You got to get Roger Saffold back with 32. You got plenty of space there. Maybe they want to get Sue back too. They want to look at free agency for the D lineman or another outside linebacker. There's some big name outside linebacker pass rushers. They can spend here. They could want to clear a little more if they're going for the big names, but there's really no one I see that would be a good cut here. You can cut some of these smaller contract guys. Mike Thomas doesn't even free $1 million though, so they're really good with their contracts. Got some young guys too. John Franklin Myers is very impressive first year. They drafted a couple young linemen that we didn't get to see yet, but we will. It's very smart because their offensive line was very good, but it was, it's up there in age, and you got some free agents coming up, so it's very smart of them to draft those old linemen with their earlier picks in last year's draft. So credit to the front office over there at the Rams. They've done a great job. McVay gets all the credit, but that front office has done a great job here. So not much action here. What free agents that they can go for? Maybe they want to get Sue back. I think they'll try to get Saffold back. But yeah, maybe they want to pair some other guys with down on that D line. Maybe they want to get more of a nose tackle. May look for the draft for that. Maybe they make an offer to Jadeveon Clowney, one of those outside linebacker. In their defense would be the pass rushers. So they have good pass rush, but it comes from the D line and mainly Donald. They need to upgrade the linebacker unit, the pass rushers there. They could really use any linebacker. C.J. Mosley's a free agent. I doubt the Ravens let him get away, but that would be something else. But mainly the pass rush, because if you add the pass rush to the outside linebacker spots with which you already got Donald there, it could be very scary. So we'll see what the Rams do. Very impressive from their front office. Moving on, we got the Niners, then we got the Seahawks real quick here. See what the Niners got going. They got $71 million in cap. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. They do have some needs, though. They could use receiver. Do they need a running back? That's a question, really. Some spots here and there at defense. Let's take a look, though. Armstead, I still think has potential. They can work with him a little more, but they could draft a replacement, too, with the second overall pick very easily. And look what his cap figure is. If you cut him, you save that much money. But this is really only necessary if they're going for some big-name guys. They could trade for Antonio Brown. They could sign Le'Veon Bell. I do like the running backs, but you could get better. You can't be afraid to get better, and your current running backs have injury history, recent history. So you could get rid of Armstead here. Yeah, you could go for Earl Thomas. That's a little wild card there. So we'll see what they do. I think they look for the draft, like more D-line. They love drafting those D-linemen. I think a better class this year than really all the classes they draft the D-linemen in. So we'll see. We need Solomon Thomas to step up. I think he's more of a 3-4 end. I said that when he was drafted too. So I don't know if he's in the right defense, but can still definitely could be good. I like McKinnon if he's healthy, so maybe they don't need that big time running back. I think McKinnon maybe the fastest starting running back in football. I think he's a hell of a receiving back. You know, we saw the Vikings missed him a lot this year. So he could definitely be their feature back for sure. Malcolm Smith, could be time to move on from him. Really hasn't lived up to any hype. So then you don't save a whole bunch, but kind of want to continue to rebuild that linebacker unit. Fred Warner was a great pickup. What else we got here? We got Brock Coyle. Again, I think you could cut some of these linebackers that really don't do a lot for you, and you can rebuild. It's unfortunate what happened to Reuben Foster, because that was definitely part of the rebuild, obviously. So very unfortunate, but you got to trust the draft process. Fred Warner was a good pickup. He can play. I think he can play inside or outside. Dakota Watson could go, so you could draft some of these linebackers. You could try to pick them up in free agency. We'll see. So I think those are some of the guys we could see cuts. I'd be surprised, honestly, if let's say, where'd it go? 4 of those guys. I think 3 of those guys should be cut. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if it was less than 2 of those guys, really. But I think 3 or 4 of those guys really should be cut. The problem is they don't really need the cap, so is it worth cutting these guys if it's not a whole bunch? Armstead, pretty good amount there, so maybe you can get away with only cutting him. We'll see. Let's see if they make big splash in free agency. I know they like building to the draft, but I think now's the time. Like, let's enough's enough. Let's get in the playoffs. I know they could have done it last year if it wasn't for injuries, but I think they got to be fed up. It's time to get there. So maybe they spend the money in free agency. We will see. Seahawks, another impressive job by the front office here. $65 million in cap. Jesus, a playoff team. You got guys like Russell Wilson, elite players like Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, and you got $65 million in cap. Very impressive. What could they cut here? They can make moves in free agency. Do they need an Earl Thomas replacement? I think he could go elsewhere. You got to get Frank Clark back. Do you franchise tag him? Do you maybe play it safe? Don't get him on your bad side and just give him that big contract. You do have the money, so I would understand either way, because maybe he needs more time to prove it. So that's what the franchise tag's for. And then maybe you, since you have the money and you can pay the guy that you like, you go and do it. So I understand both ways here. Could use another receiver. Could use O-line depth. O-line was pretty impressive last year compared to the rest of the years for the Seahawks, the past years. They could use DBs. KJ Wright's free agent. Do you want to replace him? D-line they definitely can use too. Another pass rusher opposite of Frank Clark. Could use interior D-line. I was surprised what they were able to do with they don't have glaring needs, but very impressive year, very impressive cap situation here. I think they can cut Ed Dixon. That saves $2.6 million. I think they can cut Parkevious Mingo. Saves $3.3. That's a definite one. Ed Dixon's kind of 50-50. Mingo, I definitely think they can move on from him. Malik McDowell is unfortunate. That's just dead money right there. Currently a free agent. CJ Prosise can move on from him. I thought he'd be better. Some injuries early on right after they draft him was unfortunate. And they have Chris Carson and Rashad Penny, so they don't want to use Prosise anyways. So even though it doesn't save too much, they can definitely, I don't know if they'll hesitate to do that. Hopefully he stays healthy and gets an opportunity elsewhere, because I think he could be solid. They got a lot of young guys here. I expect Rasheem Green to step up. Delano Hill can step up. They can, if they get desperate for some change here. Darbo could go. Let's save a little more than CJ Prosise, but Christopher Carson. You don't really see his name like that a lot. He doesn't take much of a hit there for a very solid running back. Paxton Lynch, I'd imagine they hang on to him. Give him a try here. Trey Flowers is very impressive. Forgot they got Keenan Reynolds. Yeah, converting from running quarterback to receiver. So we'll see how that works. Gets more of a try. I think he's supposed to be a running back at one point too. But they don't need to make too many cuts because they have good cap room. They like what they got. We'll see what they can do through free agency, through the draft. I think they'll continue. They've been drafting pretty well, so let's see if they continue to do that. Rashad Penny pick was a little questionable, but he's a good player. They just have another really good running back in Chris Carson. So we expect them somewhere near the 70 range in cap space, which is very impressive. We'll see what they're able to do. Maybe they pull a wild card on us and they somehow get Earl Thomas back. Unlikely, though. Don't really expect it. Do they replace them? Do they go with the young guys they got? They got some solid young guys at that position. I think there's more of a focus on getting another corner in before another safety. That's just my opinion. I think they'll look to the draft. I think they'll like a guy like Byron Murphy. Let's see if they'll be able to get him. Somehow Greedy Williams is there. Maybe they'll be able to get him. Again, could use D lineman, could use a pass rusher opposite of Frank Clark. I think they'll get Frank Clark back. It'd be interesting to see if he gets the franchise tag or if they pay him. A franchise tag makes more sense, but when you have the money, it's understandable to give some money up to a guy that's been your best pass rusher here. So, and then KJ Wright, do they get KJ Wright back? I'm starting to think. I think they'll try to get him back. Not too many years on the contract. We'll see what they do there, though. Could use another receiver. Antonio Brown, that's an intriguing one. Could they trade for him? They don't really value that receiver position that much, though. It's really weird. And they kind of turn in guys that are just supposed to be average receivers or less to pretty solid receivers. So we'll see what they do. I think their main focus will be on D-line, corner, and then depth at the O-line position. That's my opinion there. But that's going to do it. We finished all these videos. We did every single division, every single team. Some of the guys we predicted to be cut, they were cut already, and we expect a lot more moves to be made as we get closer to free agency, even during free agency, maybe even after. Like after teams sign guys, then they'll realize that, now it's time to move on from this guy because we brought this guy in. So we'll see. Plenty of off-season predictions, content, NFL draft content, lots of stuff here at the Goat House. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so because we got lots of content here. Click the like button. We much appreciate it as well. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thanks for everyone's support. That's going to do it for this one. Goodbye.